Greetings, fellow Trekkies and Trekkers. Well, it's time to look at the Season 4 finale of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Broken Link. Odo arrives at Liam Garrick's shop, as requested by the Cardassian tailor. He believes Garrick wishes to report a crime, but instead Garrick attempts to introduce Odo to a Bajoran woman named Shalan Oroya, the owner of the newly opened Celestial Cafe on the Promenade. Uncomfortable with women, Odo neither accepts nor declines her invitation for dinner, noting that he doesn't eat. Garrick expresses dissatisfaction in Odo's inability to act. Suddenly, Odo's shape destabilizes. As he vocalizes the pain, the destabilization continues. Eventually, he falls to the ground, unconscious. Garrick contacts Dr. Bashir and quits an emergency medical team. In the infirmary, Bashir informs Odo that his mass and density are in a state of fluctuation, but is uncertain of the cause. The doctor insists that Odo remain in the infirmary, as the movement may encourage the destabilization. Odo grudgingly agrees. In the wardroom, Benjamin Sisko, Worf, Jadzia Dax, and Kieran Rees view transmission from Klingon Chancellor Gowron. Gowron refuses to return captured Cardassian territories. He also demands that the United Federation of Planets withdraw from its starbase's military installations to the Arcanus sector, despite its unimportance and previous relinquishment by the Klingon Empire. Dax states that several diplomats have informed her that several Federation colonies near the Klingon border are calling for a preemptive strike against the Klingons. The senior staff is troubled by the growing prospect of war, but realizes there is little they can do. Arcanus is a long way from the station. Suddenly, Kira bursts into a fit of sneezing. The sneezing resulted from her recent pregnancy. She's asked if Bashir can help, but says the doctor currently has hands full of Odo's unknown illness. The crew agrees to leave Odo alone to rest, knowing that he values his privacy. In the infirmary, Kira visits Odo. Odo doesn't want company, but is happy to receive that day's criminal activity report from Kira. Noticing something on the pad, Odo leaves the infirmary for a docking port. He encounters a Boslik freighter captain named Rionoj, of whom he suspects of stealing the Felingian diamond. Unfortunately, as Odo prepares to arrest Rionoj, he is struck by illness again, this time becoming completely liquid. Now back in the infirmary, Odo is in a near state of constant instability, primarily midsection, and notices that Bashir is having difficulty maintaining humanoid shape. Bashir estimates that Odo will not be able to maintain solid form in 1 or 2 weeks. Bashir gives Odo the option of going to Bajor to Dr. Maura Paul or Starfleet Medical, but Odo insists that only the founders can truly help his condition. In his office, Sisko discusses the mission to take Odo to the Founders' new homeworld with his senior staff. They will enter the Gamma Quadrant uncloaked and transmit signals explaining their mission. Major Care initially wants to go with them, but agrees to remain behind because of the pregnancy. Now aboard the Defiant, Sisko grants a request made by Garrick to come aboard. Garrick explains to Sisko that he wishes to ask the Founders about the crew members of several Cardassian warships that were missing during that failed attack on the Founders. Sisko agrees to allow Garrick on the mission so that Garrick can distract Odo during the mission with a concoction of innuendo and half-truths regarding Garrick's alleged past as a Cardassian spy. On the way to the Defiant, Odo meets Quark, who predicts he'll own the station by the time they get back, as well as a 60% increase in smuggling profits due to his absence. Odo warns Quark not to get too comfortable because he will be back. Odo then walks sedated across the promenade and dozens of people watch his departure. The Defiant leaves for the Gamma Quadrant. Garrick occupies Odo's attention in the infirmary by telling him tales of his previous experiences, including his time as a gardener at the Cardassian embassy on Romulus, during a period where several prominent Romulan officers died under suspicious circumstances. O'Brien tells the rest of the Defiant's bridge crew how he feels outnumbered now that Karis moved in with Keiko and him, and wishes Bashir will move in to even the numbers. The Defiant then meets and is surrounded by dozens of Jem'Hadar fighters. A request is made for someone from the Dominion to meet the Defiant to discuss the request that was being transmitted. Before arrangements can be made, the female changeling and 3 Jem'Hadar soldiers beam directly to the Defiant's bridge. One of the Jem'Hadar soldiers attacks O'Brien by grabbing his chest until the Founder orders everyone to stop. The female changeling, representing the Founders, says she has come for Odo and that he must go with her to the Great Link. As she is reluctant to reveal the location of the Founders' new homeworld, but respects Sisko's loyalty to Odo when he refuses to leave the Gamma Quadrant without him, one of the Jem'Hadar named Amatigan will pilot the Defiant while a device is installed that will keep the navigation system from recording their destination. The female changeling visits Odo in the infirmary. They join in. Odo is visibly much better, more stable than before. She insists that they speak alone. During the discussion, it is apparent that the founders had been keeping Odo under surveillance and knew he was not well. She admits that they made him ill so that he would be forced to return to the Great Link to be judged. The female changeling tells Odo that he is to join the Great Link, open his thoughts so that they can judge him for killing another changeling. The first time the Great Link has ever had to render such a judgment on a changeling. She also admits that only the Great Link could truly heal him of his illness. In a corridor, Garrick and the female changeling discuss the possibility of Cardassian survivors from the earlier attack. She responds to the attackers, Garrick, and all of Cardassia is dead for attacking the founders and warns that retaliation is coming soon. The crew discuss ways to maintain a transport lock on Odo while he is in the Great Link, but, given his devotion to justice, he insists that the crew do not try to rescue him when he is being judged, despite O'Brien warning that the Dominion's idea of justice seems far different than Odo's. Once at the Founders' homeworld, the female changeling, Odo, Sisko, and Bashir transport down to a small rocky island that is completely surrounded by the Great Link. The female changeling walks into the ocean and, with a short glance and smile back at Sisko and Bashir, Odo follows. While waiting, Sisko stops Bashir from absentmindedly trying to skip a rock into the ocean. Orf catches Garrick in injunction of Jeffries to an attempt to control the Defiant's phasers and quantum torpedoes. His plans commit genocide by destroying the Founders' homeworld. Although Defiant and his crew will not survive, Garrick argues that it would be a small price to destroy the Dominion threat and save the Alpha Quadrant. Orf defeats Garrick in hand-to-hand combat, commenting the fights well, for a tailor. Back on the planet's surface, the Defiant crew sees Odo being ejected from the Great Link to the shore of the rocky island. He's not wearing any clothing. Bashir scans him and says he's getting strange readings. Lungs, a heart, a digestive system. It's as if Odo were human. The female changeling walks out of the Great Link and says that Odo has been judged. She says that his punishment was to give him what he wanted. He has been made a solid. It then tells Sisko to take Odo and leave their homeworld immediately. Back aboard the Defiant, Bashir takes a blood sample, type O negative, from Odo. The only thing unchanged is his face, which Odo realizes is meant to perpetually remind him of what he has lost now that he's become a solid. The Defiant returns to Deep Space Nine. Odo's in Garrick's shop and purchases a uniform similar appearance to the one he adopted while able to change form, albeit slightly itchy from the Incarian wool. Odo realizes that some of the rest of his unease is due to being hungry, yet another sensation he did not possess while a changeling. As he's about to escort Garrick to be confined for 6 months for attempted sabotage and assaulting Worf, Shalana Roy enters Garrick's shop and offers to help Odo in any way now that he is a solid. Odo still doesn't ask for a date, but does respond with a broader smile than when he was first introduced to Arroya. Odo leaves his office and meets Sisko in the promenade. When Sisko suggests Odo is rushing his recovery, Odo insists that he must work. While he was in the Great Link, he finally understood the Founders, their hostility and distrust of solids, everything. But as soon as he experienced it, it was snatched away from him, leaving his job the only thing that he has left in his life. On the promenade, a message from Gowron is displayed. Gowron states that a Klingon task force is to be sent to the Arcanus sector in 10 days, and warns that any Federation stations or ships remaining in that sector will be destroyed. Sisko places the station on combat alert and asks Major Kira to alert the Bajoran militia. Suddenly Odo realizes something. During his time in the Link, the Founders try and hide certain things from him. One of those things was Gowron. This can only mean that Chancellor Gowron is, in fact, a changeling. Dun dun dun. So let's take a look at some continuity surrounding this episode. The comment Garrick makes about Shalana Roya's dress, a thing of beauty is a joy forever, is from Book 1 of Endymion by John Keats, who was also mentioned in The Muse. Trained for third appearance, Leslie Belvis's character is finding in the script, but still on screen for this episode, Rianage. Bevis previously played the character in the Season 2 opener of Homecoming, and in the Season 3 episode, The Abandoned. This episode is a sequel of sorts to the third season finale, The Adversary, insofar as it is here that Odo receives his punishment for killing a fellow changeling in that episode. He regains his shape-shifting ability in the 5th season episode, The Begotten. This episode sees Odo officially disgraced and rejected by his people, making him the 4th regular character alienated from his race as punishment at present, the other 3 being Worf, Quark, and Garrick. This is the first appearance of the female changeling since Heart of Stone. Dialogue in this episode implies that it was Grayling that caused Odo's ailment, not Section 31. The script for To the Death reveals that Wayun infected Odo with the virus that afflicted him here, when he clapped Odo on the shoulder after he rejected Wayun's invitation to rejoin the Founders, making his illness here different from the virus created by Section 31. This was not how the scene was filmed, however. At that point in the conversation was filmed with a tight focus on just Wayun's face, leaving Odo's point of transmission unclear, as his only other physical contact with a member of the Dominion was the Odo-initiated handshake, the latent changeling in Homefront. Carol Lofton does not appear in this episode. This is the only season finale in which he does not appear. So yeah, overall, this is a very, very, interesting season finale, and yeah, I do kind of feel bad for what Odo has had to go through, but at least he gets his abilities back next season, so that's good. It's also the reveal that Gowron is a changeling. Yeah, it's definitely gonna shake things up next season. So yeah. So overall, I give Broken Link 5 warp cores out of 5. Well, thank you all so much for watching me review Star Trek Deep Space Nine Season 4. Anyway, next year we'll be taking a look at Season 5, beginning with the episode Apocalypse Rising. And since next month is October, that means it's Horror Month. Yep. And so that month I will be looking at, either Hellraiser or Child's Play. Just depends on which came first. So yeah. So anyway, be on the lookout for that next month. So yeah. But anyway, so until then, live long and prosper, everybody.